In the fall of 1826, a letter appeared in Portland's Eastern Argus newspaper. It bore the signatures of 6 African-American men. In it, the men condemned the Second Congregational Church, saying it was racist. They also said it was high time the city's black residents got a church of their own. The paper printed that letter 191 years ago this week on September 19th, 1826. At the time, slavery was illegal in Maine, but segregation was not. Now, the Second Congregational Church was forcing African Americans to sit up in the balconies only, and it sometimes discouraged them from attending church at all, according to the letter. The letter-writing men were Christopher Christian Manuel, Reuben Ruby, Caleb Johnson, Clement Thompson, Joe Bell Wentworth, and John Siggs. 2 years later, they were among 22 black residents of Portland who petitioned the state legislature for permission to incorporate their own church. That same year, they won the right and they set up Portland's Abyssinian Religious Society. And this is where they worshipped, in the Abyssinian Church on Newbury Street. It housed an active congregation for 86 years, and during that time it was the hub of African American life in town. It ran a school, it hosted concerts, it welcomed speakers like former slave and writer Frederick Douglass and fire-breathing abolitionist William Lloyd Garrison. At the time, Portland was an important stop on the Underground Railroad system, since it was well connected by sea and rail and it was so close to Canada. Leaders and members of this church concealed and transported runaway slaves as part of that shadowy network. And the Abyssinian Meeting House here is the only underground railway stop in Maine recognized by the National Park Service. Over the years, though, other African American churches were organized, and the Abyssinian congregation declined. In 1898, 19 of its members went down with the steamship Portland in a November gale. In 1917, the congregation dissolved altogether, and the building became a tenement. By the 1990s, it was derelict and owned by the city for back taxes. These days, though, it's owned by the Committee to Restore the Abyssinian. They've been working hard, trying to raise money to restore the building for 20 years now. They got it placed in the National Register of Historic Places and recognized as the 3rd oldest African American meeting house in the whole country. In the future, they hope it'll become a museum. So do I. See what you can get started just by writing a letter to the editor?